international affairs correspondent Owen Alterman. But let's go right now to our Mideast reporter, Michael Pluchuk, who's at the center of what this controversy is about in Jerusalem, in East Jerusalem. And Michael, what have you seen today in Jerusalem itself in response to the U.S. decision?
Well, Kalev, a day of rage was called on, would be the third one that was called on today by Palestinian leadership. And it has to be said, Kalev, this was really, if you compare it to days of rage in previous years, and when you consider the seismic shift with this announcement, really, I think authorities and journalists alike were expecting to see more more people coming out to the streets today, and we haven't seen that. There have been very minor clashes where we have been, at least at the Damascus Gate. That's the old city area of Jerusalem, and there indeed some water bottles being thrown, some pushing and some shoving, but all in all, that's all there was really. By and large, the demonstration, the protest was contained by and large. If you compare it even to the July attack and the protest that ensued after that, right here in the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, even then, by this time into the game, a few days into the game, we were already looking at a very different situation. So raises some eyebrows, Kalev, as to why the outcome was lower than expected.
Michael, I want to try to tease this point out a little more with you. You were saying how in comparison to other protests, there are not very many people walking out to the streets, but we heard some very aggressive and serious calls from some in the Palestinian leadership calling on people to reignite the uprising. Is what we're seeing here now a gap between the Palestinian leadership, at least of some factions or parties, and the Palestinian people?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right, Ayman. And I would make the argument that that gap has been around for some time, and it's been becoming wider and wider with time. And this is, you have to understand, this is the money time. This, this is the money time for both factions, both Fatah and Hamas, with both trying to compete really for who is ahead of the game and how events unfold, and who is harnessing that strength that the Palestinian crowd brings with it to their own advantage. And both are vying for that, and that, to some degree at least, explains their calls to action. But it would appear, Ayman, from what I've been speaking to people on the ground, not only today, but just in general, there's in past years a steady de-escalation of the trust that Palestinians have in both of those leaderships, be it Hamas or Fatah. People are fatigued, in a sense, you could say, Ayman. When you speak to people here at the protest, they say, well, violence didn't help us, diplomacy didn't help us, none of our political leaders have achieved anything for us. And so really they see very little reason to leave their houses in such extreme cold to come out to a protest that most of them, it would appear, don't think will advance their causes any further.
Okay, Michael Pluchuk, of course, we'll be checking back in with you later. Owen, the point being made there by